are a different book. And just because something hasn't happened for you at the chapter that you're at does not mean that it's not in store for you. It's so funny now. It's crazy. But I remember being much younger and feeling like at 25 I would have arrived. It's like, arrive where? Last year was my year of learning to let go of the could've, should've, would've. Why didn't I do this? The pain of regret.
Hello, welcome to the Live Your Essence podcast. I'm Sabrina Kumwa, your host, and I'm a speaker, singer, and software engineer. On this podcast, we talk about walking in our purpose, enjoying the journey of growth, and approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Live Your Essence is your space to partner with your God-given uniqueness to build a life you truly love. Now, let's dive into this episode.
So guys, I'm turning 25 in a few days. I love my birthday. I literally made a birthday song, y'all. I like celebrating my friends' birthdays. I like celebrating my own birthday, and I love making my own birthday very special. So I've just been in a very reflective state lately, thinking about all the different things I've learned up to my 25th birthday. And the first thing that we need to talk about, you guys, is the fact that a lot of us are stuck in our COVID ages. Okay? Because how the heck do you mean I'm turning 25 right now? Like, what have the past few years been? Like, what do you mean I'm in my mid-20s? What have the past few years been? I have yet to process the fact that I'm actually 25 and that the world is not going to stop. The world just keeps going. The world keeps going. And that actually leads to my first lesson that I've been learning. The world will keep going. Adulting is, first of all, recognizing that no matter what you're going through, the world is going to keep going forward. Your work is going to keep going. Social media is going to keep going. People are still going to be doing their thing. Your friends are going to keep living. The world is not necessarily going to stop for you. And that's been a very hard lesson for me to learn, because situations would happen in my life and I would feel like other people would feel that with me, only to realize that, hey, you still got to go to work. Like, you still have things to do. Your house is going to get dirty if you don't clean. And that's just been one of the biggest lessons ever, is that the world will keep going. And so I've had to learn to really work on my attitude and my perspective, because that's what gives me the ability to see the best in any situation, to just be positive and have a positive mindset and just try my best. People are busy. Your friends are busy. Like, my friends are busy. People have their own lives. And I'm just learning not to take things so personally when maybe I want to speak to someone and they don't have time, or I feel like I haven't heard from my friends in a while. Like, I'm just learning how to not take so many things personally, because the truth is, in adult living, we're all just trying our best. Honestly, another thing, this is kind of connected to another lesson that I've been learning over the past few years, is that you never quite arrive. We've spent so much time training ourselves to arrive somewhere, only to realize that once you get there, there's another place for you to go. And you just never quite arrive. Because I remember, I mean, it's just so funny now. It's crazy. But I remember being much younger and feeling like at 25, I would have arrived. It's like, arrive where? But I kind of get it though, because I do feel accomplished and established in many ways. I have to give that to myself, because I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at. So I'm not trying to downplay the work that I've put into my life. I didn't quite arrive, but it didn't come with the ending maybe that I anticipated, because there's still more to do. It's like, I do feel like a season is closing, a chapter is closing in my life. I do really feel that sense of completion, and it's beautiful. Like, today I woke up extremely grateful to God. I was like, wow, God, like, thank you so much for my life. Thank you for everything. But it's like, even though you arrive, you don't arrive forever. You're going to pack your bags and you're going to embark on another adventure. That's just how life works. And it's like, I'm torn between the feeling of I've arrived and the feeling of, where did you even arrive? Like, where are we going? In so many ways, we just sabotage ourselves into thinking that we're going to be happy once we get there. But where is there? We really need to practice and be so intentional about just living in the moment. And I know it's cliche, but it's cliche because it's the truth. It's cliche because it's the truth. Just because something is simple, just because people repeat the same phrase over and over, does not mean that it isn't true. The truth is actually simple. Live in the moment. Try your best to focus on what you're doing right now and to enjoy it the most you can, because this moment is not going to last forever. Like, imagine being 15 and then just wishing to just be in the future when you're grown and you can do this and you can do that. But then you come to an age where you're quote unquote established and you wish you could be 15 again without the worries that you have now. So it's like every life stage comes with its own opportunities, joys, lessons, memories. And you just really have to live life to the fullest. And I don't care if it's cliche, I'm going to tell you again because it's the truth. It's the truth that I'm learning every day. And the thing is that we have to go back to the basics. Like Jonathan McReynolds says, like, go back to the basics. The basics are where it's at. Like, even in the Bible, God is like, be like children. Be like children, because children are dealing with the basics. They're not adding all these extra things and complications to their lives. They're just dealing with the basics. And another thing I've learned, which is connected to living in the moment and focusing on the journey, is I learned that I need to let go of shame as quickly as possible. I need to let go of the shame that comes with failing as quickly as I can, because I grew up feeling as though I needed to try my best not to make mistakes. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate because we're all trying to be perfectionists. We try so hard not to make mistakes. And when we do make these mistakes, we feel bad and we condemn ourselves. And we carry that shame with us. But shame is energy. It will stop you from actually doing the things you want to do because you feel shamed for failing the first time that you tried. Say you tried some kind of business or endeavor or whatever it is, and you try these things and you start feeling shamed when you fail, so that it prevents you from trying again. And I'm just learning that shame has been a burden in my life. It's been a weight attached to my foot as I'm trying to run, because I just feel the regret, the pain of regret, the pain of shame. Like, I should have, I could have, I would have. Why didn't I? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And I had to really struggle with that last year. Last year was my year of learning to let go of the could haves, should haves, would haves. Why didn't I do this? The pain of regret. Because the truth is, we're all going to have regrets in our lives. And we just need to let go of it as quickly as we can. And one way that I've been learning to do that is just by asking God to restore the things that I've lost. Because God is a restorer. I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, and I believe that God will restore the things that you've lost. And so a prayer I've been praying is anytime I feel that regret, I'm like, God, that thing that I just lost, that time that I just lost, please restore it back to me, and restore it back to me plenty. The Lord can restore all these, years that we've lost. He can restore them. And now I just try my best to, honestly, when I start feeling bad about something that I wish I had done better, I just ask God to restore it to me. If it's a lost opportunity, I'm like, Lord, maybe I wasn't diligent enough with that opportunity. Maybe I fumbled this bag. You can be honest, like, we're out here fumbling bags. Sometimes we fumble bags. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's ourselves. Like, we fumble so many things. When that happens, because it will happen, it's okay to remember that God is a restorer. You're not perfect. You're not perfect. I've diminished a lot of my achievements simply by saying things like, I should have done better. I could have done more. But then what? And then what would have happened? It's fine. Like, you're here today. You're healthy. You're fine. Everything is okay. You're here. You're present. Things will get better. And so I'm just learning to let go of the pain of regret and shame and failure, which leads to my next lesson. Failure is a wonderful, wonderful teacher. You know how, like, Mark Zuckerberg says, move fast and break things? You got to move fast and break things because that's how you get experience in life. You cannot just wait to do things perfectly, or else you're never going to try anything. You're never going to move. And so failure is just a really great teacher. And as much as it sucks to look back on opportunities that you've missed or things that you've fumbled, failure will teach you a few things and you should learn from it. And on the topic of failure, one thing that I've really struggled with is comparison, because I'm a logical thinker. I like optimizing for the best possible results. I'm a software engineer. That's literally how I'm wired to think. That's what is encouraged at my job. Like, I love thinking in terms of what's the best case scenario. How can we optimize for the best performance? But when it comes to real life and you apply that same approach, it can backfire really quickly because you start looking at every possible use case out there and comparing yourself to it so you can optimize yourself and try to be the best. But that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable and ethical. Real life is not code. Real life is not a model. Real life is not a system. Real life is life, and life happens to people. Life happens to everyone. And that's something that I've had to learn, because in the attempt to be my best self, I would take things that are out there or people that are out there and like break it down and literally compare myself to so many things unnecessarily. I thought it was helpful. I thought it would help me. I thought that it would help me be the best version of myself. I thought that the feeling of comparison and the need to compare myself was a useful tool to ensure that I could maximize my potential. But what ended up happening is I just felt terrible. I mean, that's what comparison does to you. I felt so bad because ultimately, when you're comparing yourself, you are comparing yourself to someone's unique blueprint, someone's unique story, someone's unique anointing. They're unique. So the comparison in and of itself is pointless and worthless. Like, it's worth nothing. It is not going to help you the way you think it is. It is not tough love. You're not tough loving yourself when you compare yourself to somebody else and be like, why can't you be like her? Why can't you do this? Why can't you be like him? That is not tough love. I don't even know what to call it, but it's just a huge waste of your time that's going to make you terrible, and it's not worth it. And obviously there's social media, we're out here comparing ourselves to everybody and their mamas, but I had to take a step back. I had to take a step back and be like, why am I doing this? And that's when I realized that I'm doing this because I feel like it's helpful. I feel like it's going to benefit me in some way. And when you compare yourself, you're not honoring your journey. You're not honoring your story. I wasn't honoring where I've been, where I came from. God gave us our own unique stories to live. And I drove myself crazy, you guys. Like, that's why I keep talking about this. It's serious. It's so bad. It's serious because I just wouldn't take my gifts seriously. I wouldn't take my time seriously. I'd just be scrolling social media, looking at what other people were doing. And I became really discontent with myself and my life to the point where I couldn't even see the beauty of my own achievements and progress. And that sucks. If you find yourself in a similar position where you're struggling to find the beauty in yourself, I highly suggest that maybe you take a social media break, or purge, unfollow accounts that make you feel bad, even if it's people that you admire for now. If you're not ready to withstand the pressure that comes with looking at something that you admire and not comparing yourself and not being jealous about it, just unfollow those people, unfollow the accounts for now. It's okay to accept where you're at. It's okay to admit that you're not where you want to be yet. It's okay to admit that you can't be happy for this person yet. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine. I remember in sophomore year of college, I deleted Snapchat. And I remember telling my aunt that I was deleting Snapchat because it would make me feel left out when I wasn't invited to things. And she said, but you should be able to be strong and see these things and it shouldn't affect you. And I was like, that's fine in an ideal world. Like, sure. But that's not where I'm at right now. I need to delete this app to learn to focus on my own life, to start feeling better about myself. And even though ideally you should be able to see other people's success and be okay with it, if that's not where you're at and you have some self-work to do, it's okay to do the work. It's okay to delete the accounts, and it's okay to let yourself grow until you're a little bit more robust and you can enjoy other people's successes without it affecting you. And this is connected to another thing I really want to talk about today, which is the feeling of feeling behind. That sense of feeling behind in life. I've talked to so many people, so many of my friends who resonate with that feeling of feeling behind, because I resonated with it as well. I just want to share why I felt like I needed to work on this feeling so bad and what my friends and I have been talking about. Anytime the topic of feeling behind in life would come up, most, if not all of my friends could relate. We could just relate. And I'm like, well, if all of us are feeling behind, where is the actual standard? Like, where is the actual thing? If everyone is feeling behind, who's not behind? And that just got me thinking. It's like, wait, so what is actually going on here? We've trained ourselves to live and to seek out this standard, this mold that we have to fit, not recognizing that we're all in different timelines. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Even if you've heard this before, just listen to me. Life is like a book. It's a storybook. We all have our different books. Now, some chapters with certain life events can happen at different points in your story, depending on what book you are. So for somebody, the first chapter could be marriage. Literally, you open the book and it's like, Lilia got married and this is how her life kept going on. And then the story moves from there. Someone could have the marriage at the very last chapter of the book. Someone could have it in the middle, in the first half, second half. It's like, and marriage is an example that I use because it's a big life event for most people. But we can have other events like getting their dream job, getting their dream house, getting their X, their Y, their Z. You are a different book. And just because something hasn't happened for you at the chapter that you're at the chapter that your life is at any given point, does not mean that it's not in store for you. It doesn't mean that if you don't turn the pages and you don't keep living your life, that this stuff is not going to happen for you. And so feeling behind doesn't really make sense anymore because our books are not in the same order. The way God planned different life events are in different orders. And it's also very similar to watching a movie. In some movies, some things happen in the beginning and not the end. And you are a different movie, you're a different book, you're a complete different story from the people that you're comparing yourself to. And the minute I learned that, honestly, I started taking more pride, more joy in living my own life. And that's actually how I came up with the concept of live your essence. Live your essence to me is just a reminder that I need to live out the essence of who I'm called to be and the essence of what God wants me to be. And the thing about that is that it's so freeing because we don't have the same essence. In fact, let me share a little story with you guys. In the beginning, I wanted to call my podcast Rise to the Essence or Rise to the Essence because in my head, I wanted to convey the sense that there is a standard that we should all aspire to be or to become or to rise to. So I really wanted to call this podcast Rise to the Essence. And then I realized that live your essence is much more meaningful because we shouldn't all aspire to the same things. We shouldn't actually. I don't think God designed us to all care about the same things. There's so many things that maybe some of my friends care about that I just don't care about. And I may like it for them. I can be happy for them, but I don't have the burden of doing those things. And that's okay. That's what live your essence means. Owning your story, owning your journey. How can I be the essence that God knows me to be? How can I just be that instead of trying to rise to a standard? Because there is no one standard for all of us. Life is not a one size fits all. Like you have your unique shape, your unique makeup. Invest time in learning who you are and what you want to do. And that's what I commit to doing for the rest of my life. Another thing is only God knows the timing of your life. Time is a fascinating concept and only God knows what time it is in your life. You don't know how much time you have and you don't know how much time other people have. You don't know what type of burdens they carry. You don't know who in their family they're meant to help and they're meant to serve. You don't know the worries that they take to bed. And you're out here comparing yourself, but you don't even know what they're going through. And you don't know if you're going to live to 100. You don't know if you're going to live to 125 years old. And so maybe you just have more time. Let's not take our lives for granted. If your members are working, be grateful to God for that. If you can wake up and you have a bed, be grateful to God for that. Don't forget that every good and perfect gift comes from God, and you don't know what He has in store for you. That being said, I do agree and believe that we need to make the most of everything that we have. We need to make the most of all the resources that have been given to us. And I've come to the conclusion, honestly, that project management is one of the ultimate skills you can ever have. And by project management, I'm not talking about Notion or Miro or Jira or Asana and all these project management tools necessarily. Although I love my productivity tools, follow me on my other YouTube channel called Brina's Code, where I share productivity tips and advice, and on Instagram as well. But that's not really what I'm trying to get to. I mean, the ability to manage your time, your emotions, to manage your schedule, to manage people's expectations of your work. The ability to just manage your own ethic is an amazing skill to have. I call that project management. And honestly, if I could go back in college and redo my college years, I would be better at managing my projects. Because everything in life can ultimately be represented by the concept of a project. If you have to come home from work and cook, that's a project. If you have to take care of your kids, that's a project. If you want to hang out with your friends, that's a project. If you're planning a birthday party like I am, that's another project, which, haven't been doing the best job at that, but that's another topic. All right. That's another topic, y'all. Okay, now let's talk about making friends in your 20s, because that has to do with project management. But honestly, maintaining friendships in your 20s sometimes can feel just as hard, if not harder, than making the initial connection and the initial friends, because we're just so busy. Everyone is freaking busy. I'm like, what are y'all even doing? What are we even doing? What are we doing? Why are we so busy? Why? That's why you got to be so intentional about your friendships, or else things are just not going to happen. You have to force the friendships, okay? You have to force them. If they don't want to hang out with you, you got to show up at their door and make them leave the house. Sometimes good things require a little bit of a push. Hopefully, I'm a better friend to my friends this year. Okay, you guys, another thing I learned as I'm turning 25 is the fact that gratitude is a life hack. When you're grateful, it's hard to feel sad about something at the exact same time. Now I can see the wisdom behind why God wants us to be grateful. It's a mood hack. It's an emotional lifesaver. It's just so crazy how we live our lives without even remembering the good things that have happened to us. We're not remembering the things that God has done for us. It's crazy. It's like, we're meant to remember, but we keep forgetting. And if we forget, we need to make ourselves remember. But that being said, another lesson I learned as I'm turning 25 is that life will happen to you and you have to be prepared for when it does happen. Too often do we forget that most bad times come on the heels of good times. But we forget because we're happy. The saying says, make hay while the sun is shining. But when the sun is shining, sometimes I just sit under the sun. Like, I don't care. And I forget that I need to prepare myself. I need to pray for protection, because the enemy does not like seeing you happy. He does not like seeing your joy. He doesn't like that. And so when you're in a moment of happiness and joy, you have to be very protective of it and you have to be careful. I've learned that lesson over and over again. More recently, after I went to LA and I released my first music video, after I released that video, it was my first ever music video, and I was really proud of myself. And I was so happy. I was on a high. I was like up, 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 up. And then all of a sudden, down. Because I just didn't see sickness coming. I was overextending myself. I was doing the absolute most. And I just did not take care of my body. And I felt sick. And it's like, when you're on a high, just pay attention. Be careful. And because the enemy is after your momentum. Momentum is like accelerated success. You're just moving. You're getting your bag. You're getting your goals. You're achieving your dreams. That's what momentum looks like. And the thing about momentum is that you just, when you get out of that, it's hard to get back to it. It's like you kind of crash out. And so if you're in a vibe, if you're in a feeling of momentum where you're accelerating quickly, just be on the lookout for anything that can try to make you slip. That's another reason why when you do have happy moments in your life, please enjoy them fully. Live the seasons that you're meant to live fully. Live them fully. Don't leave anything on the table. If it's your time for joy, if you work hard at something, if you're experiencing any amount of joy or happiness in your life, live it out fully. Don't try to live a soft life season when it's your time to be a boss chick and to work hard and to sow seeds. Don't force a harvest when it's time for you to sow seeds. And don't force yourself to sow when it's time for you to enjoy your harvest. If it is a moment of intense rest in your life, you should feel grateful for all the things that you've labored for, the things that you've worked hard for. If it's your season of feeling that way, don't look to other people and then try to do what they're doing because they're grinding and they're hustling. Like, you've already done your work. Enjoy it. Like, I remember in like my senior year of college, I worked really hard, and I actually had a full-time offer by the time I was in my senior year. So I could honestly just chill and rest. And sometimes I feel guilty about it. I was like, why am I so chill? But it's like, I've worked really hard to get that job. I was working so hard in college. Like, so I was doing all these things. And when I finally got my full-time offer, I started feeling guilty that I'm not doing enough. Why was I feeling guilty that I wasn't doing enough? That's what I worked for. We're all at different levels. We're all in different chapters of our stories. So if it's your chapter to work hard, please put in the work. And if it's your chapter to rest, rest. And that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Please give this podcast a like, a heart, a subscribe, a comment, and make sure to share with your friends and family. And of course, God bless you. Don't forget to live your essence.